Bob grew up in the ghetto. He had no social media or means to his own recording equipment, but despite all that, rose to international success. So, it is possible for you to do the same thing if you adopt these 3 crucial traits. Stay tuned. In 36 years, Bob Marley went from little country Jamaican youth to mega superstar. He popularized an underground religion, set up generational wealth for his offspring, and arguably became the most well-known Jamaican in the world. Welcome back. If you subscribe to the tribe, I'm Matty McCaskill, a songwriter, audio engineer, and the songwriting and music business coach to emerging independent artists. Independence doesn't mean you have to struggle, nor do you have to navigate your music journey alone. And coaching, I say, is like Google Maps. It gets you from point A to point B in the shortest time possible. You can book a call with me, and we'll help you get from point A to point B a lot sooner. It'll be in the link below. Now let's get into the video. First off, is anyone else as excited as I am about the One Love biopic coming out February 14th, 2024? Anybody else? I could talk about Bob forever. He was immensely influential in me becoming a singer-songwriter, playing the guitar, just all of that. But in this video, I'm going to break down the 3 most crucial traits that I believe made Bob a legend and still a legend to this day. And he's been dead for 43 years. It's all about longevity, baby. Okay, so my first part is that Bob got in his 10,000 hours of musicianship very early. Bob and future fellow whaler Bunny Livingston grew up in the same house, okay? So Bob is born in the countryside. His mother remarries and then gets divorced from that guy and then moves to Kingston and connects with Bunny's father after she moved to Trenchtown when Bob was a teenager, a young teenager. So Bob and Bunny begin to explore lots of different types of music. Ska is a music of the time in Jamaica. Calypso and R&B from the United States is coming down and hitting the Jamaican airwaves. And that's the doo-wop era, of really heavy harmonization. But the Jamaican youth were moving away from some of that upbeat calypso music where it's just, all about having like a good time. And they wanted to tell the story of what was really going on in the Jamaican inner cities. So during this time, Peter Tosh is also in Trenchtown. And a guy I like to talk about a little bit later called The Mentor introduces Peter Tosh to Bunny Wailer and Bob Marley. And they formed this group called the Teenagers. Bob wrote and recorded his first hit song, Judge Not, when he was only 16 years old. So fast forwarding from 1962 to 1965, Bob recorded, with the Wailers, 20 songs. So this includes writing the music, practicing the music, recording the music multiple times, at least maybe 5, 10, maybe even 15 times. So those 3 boys were down there getting in their hours, getting in their musicianship, getting tight. And from 1965 to 1975, which is arguably when the world starts to know more about Bob Marley and the Wailers, he had recorded 7 studio albums, recorded and released over 50 singles. The Wailers were seriously prolific musicians and recording artists, and from the tough ghettos of 1960s and 70s Jamaica. So those 2 elements right there are what made the content in their music so powerful. So the second trait that made Bob so monumental was that he had a mentor. There's an old saying that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Bob's mentor, Joe Higgs, was a singer-songwriter himself, and he was a seasoned recording artist by the time he started mentoring Bob in 1959. Being just 7 years older than Bob, he's credited with teaching Bob how to play the guitar. As I said earlier, he introduced Bob and Bunny Wailer to Peter Tosh, and very instrumental in helping the group learn harmonies and song structure. So Joe Higgs, called the father of reggae by reggae pioneer Jimmy Cliff, was instrumental in setting up that meeting the young Bob Marley and the Wailers had with legendary record producer Coxsone Dodd, the record producer of Jamaica during that time, and fellow pioneer of ska and reggae music. So guidance from a qualified mentor in music is how Bob Marley and the Wailers enter into the record business, and it's also how they gain their skills so fast to writing songs that resonate with the public. Hey, real quick, if you're getting any value in this video, please tap that like button. Oh, I've got something fun for you. If somebody has never heard Bob Marley's music before, what's the first song that you would introduce them to? Comment that below. All right, now let's get back to the third piece. Okay, so before I get to that third part, let's recap. Bob was driven, Bob Marley had a qualified mentor, and the third piece is that Bob had a strong why. Bob had a spiritual purpose as to why his music needed to be released and who it needed to be given to. Bob's life was riddled with supernatural events from the day that he was born up until the day that he died. And I'll share with you a passage from my favorite Bob Marley biography. This is Timothy White, Catch a Fire, Life of Bob Marley. At the end. All right, let's get back to it. In 1966, Bob leaves his birth religion of Catholicism and ventures off into the upcoming Rastafarianism that's only about 36 years old at the time. But remember, by this time also he was developing into a seasoned recording artist and songwriter and musician, matching his skills as a songwriter and evangelist for Rastafarianism. This combination turned out hits such as I Shot the Sheriff, Zimbabwe, No Woman, No Cry, and so many things, just to name a few, many of which have interwoven Bible scriptures right into the lyrics, y'all. So this is what I feel. By not having that traditional gospel sound, it's way more palatable to a broader market, to sharing the message, right, of Rastafarianism, but also which is biblical messages involved, because you can kind of weave it in there nice and slow over dope, hypnotic rhythms. That is reggae music. Plus, I have to say, gospel music is sharing the good news, all of it, which includes death, joy, pain, love, knowledge of self, all of that. Bob understood his why. He had a mission to unite Black people and all the human race under the banner of one love. That's a strong, strong, strong why, and a great way to be fuel for more content. This is what makes his music so powerful and his life so powerful to this day. Recap. Have dedication to becoming a successful musician and put that work in. 2, get a coach, a consultant, buy books, take online courses, and continuously educate yourself in songwriting and music business. Remember, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And number 3, what I want you to do is a little activity. Get really clear, write this down, get really clear on your why, who you are talking to, who you want to talk to with your music. What do you want to change about their life? What impact do you want to make on the world in general? Okay, I hope this video was inspiring to you, gave you a little bit more clarity about what it is that you need to do next. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. Hey, comment below if you enjoyed this video and what other videos that you would like to see around music business, songwriting, or even some of the music instrumentals that I post every now and then. And remember to stay focused. I'll see you in the next video. As I said earlier, I was going to come back and read a passage from this book by Timothy White, Catch a Fire. I'm going to leave a description in the comments below if you want to grab it. And I'm not Jamaican, but guess what? I've got a Jamaican here, Kim Lee.
Hi, everybody.
And Kim Lee is going to translate the patois in this book because I'm not about to mangle this. But I think that this passage right here is so crucial in seeing how Bob Marley was born. It starts off with him being born. Starts off with his grandfather, Omeria Malcolm. And let's get into it. All right, so where we are in this book is Cedella Marley, Bob Marley's mother, just 19 years old, has given birth to Robert Nesta Marley, and he's 4 months old.
The devil in Mwanda, little boy.
Omeria Malcolm was shaken to hear himself whispering this ghoulish assertion as no less surprised by the fear and the weariness in his own voice.
Somebody science him.
He muttered to himself.
Put dopey pan him, boy.
His 4-month-old grandson had suddenly taken ill. Omeria was certain that the malevolent forces were responsible. Only that morning, Sidella, had been tending to her son in the usual way, breastfeeding him and then placing him on a rubber sheet in her one-room hilltop shack while she did her share of the family sewing, mending the clothes of her 5 brothers and 3 sisters. Sensing that all was well and feeling a trifle peckish, she had double-checked the child around noon and then hurried down the hill to buy a sweet at the grocery shop. Upon her return not 10 minutes later, she found him lying on his stomach quivering, water dripping from his nose. He was making short coughing noises. She lifted him up and stroked his brow, thinking he had not digested the milk. His stomach tightened and he threw up. Then his neck went limp and his eyes rolled back. Sidi screamed for help, and her sister Enid, who had been washing clothes outside, ran to get Omeria and Yaya, the young girl's grandmother. Both of them lived within walking distance. Omeria examined the child gravely and decided that an evil spirit had touched him during Sidi's absence. Yaya concurred. And the father and grandmother discussed possible remedies. At length, it was decided that he would mix a potion of susumba bush, garden bitters, cotton leaves, black joint, baby gripe, hug me close, and sweet cup, while she fetched a medicinal love charm to protect the child from further demonic assaults. These things accomplished, the boy was co-signed to a trio of around-the-clock monitors consisting of Sidi, Enid, and Auntie Beatrice Wilby, the elderly cousin who had served as Sidi's midwife. There was little to do but wait and pray for the shadow to pass from him. As dusk approached, the boy began to breathe more freely, and his nurses reacted with exclamations of relief.
Yes, sir. What a way him revive,
said Enid.
The potion and amulet favor me picnic,
said Sidella, her eyes wet and swollen.
You can't block the powers of the Almighty,
said Beatrice.
Thanks and favor for the holiest one, whose name is goodness and love, for the helpless child and him picnic mama.
But Omeria, hearing this exaltations from across the rise, was not so quick to celebrate or dismiss the significance of the incident. Every illness he knew, he asked himself, would a suckling become the target of a duppy?
Sure as God make water and cool and fire abun,
he thought.
That boy been in the first grass of Nuku, which is a duppy name in Jamaica. Mother Death herself, and give thanks and bow the head, was only the swiftness of the retaliation that expelled the demon.
And that's it for today's reading. Catch a Fire by Timothy White. An amazing book. I thoroughly love this book. Read it from back to front. Even at my job that I was working at the time, I read it on my break. It's an amazing book. All right? See you in the next video.